All right. Well, today is going to be a fun one. Our opening thing that we're going to it's going to lead it past the theme song real quick is games that were like to pardon the pun, but also not pardon the pun, that were a game changer in your life. Like there's a pre-time when you were playing that before you played the game, and there's a post. Like it's like in those like tree rings in the forest, and you see like, oh, there's where this happened. Like for us as gamers, these games are those moments. We're gonna say the game's titles, and then we're gonna come back after the break and talk about them a little bit more, and then launch into our conversation for today. Just because I want to make sure our listeners know what's happening, so they're not like, what's going on. So my game is Dragon Age Inquisitions.
Ooh, yeah.
What is yours?
Splinter Cell.
Okay. With that being said, hold on. Put all hands and feet inside of the ride at this time. When we come back, we're going to explore that a little bit, and then it's Myst and No Man's Sky. Yeah. That's here on the County Gamers. We'll be back in a sec. All right, so now we've properly teased you. We've properly amped you up as listeners. The reason why Dragon Age Inquisition is mine is it was basically the first. I mean, because there was Skyrim before.
Yep.
And that was like. But what was interesting about Skyrim, you were solo, right? You were just on your own. You didn't have any party members. Yep. I mean, later on with a vampire storyline with the vampire, whatever, you got Serena or Serana, or whatever you call her, and at some point you got a Thane to hang around, like, but so it was like a 2-people group.
Yep.
In Dragon Age Inquisition, it's a whole team. It's 4 people, and what's really fun about Dragon Age Inquisition is that it's fully 3D. It's full on, like, the environment is brilliant, but the fun part is you get to micromanage your party. You get to micromanage your armor, your swords, like. And people out there are probably just like, oh my gosh, this is exhausting. But for me, it was super cool because you could theme your character, you could theme your team. And the cool thing about it, as you played Dragon Age Inquisition, you added to your party.
Yeah.
And you began to use different people for different things and different experiences and different, like, when you came upon a moment in the story, each character would have a different reaction to the events.
Yep.
And they would give like a 1 or 2 liner, or they would give history behind that you couldn't get from another character, or that the other character would have given a different perspective on that kind of occurrence.
Yep.
And what was so fun about Dragon Age Inquisitions is that it was so different from any game I had played before.
Oh, yeah.
Like, again, Skyrim and Grand Theft Auto, and like those were open world games.
Yep.
But Inquisitions was, okay, I have a team. I have people with me. I have backup. So you could play a mage, and then you could equip the rest of your team as tanks, and those tanks would then go attack the dragon, like, close up, and then you could stand distance and cast your spells and fire and all that stuff. Or if you wanted to equip your team with mages, and then you're the tank going toe-to-toe with the dragon, that allowed you to kind of do that. And so it was this game where you could change the way you played based upon who you had in your team and what you expect yourself out as in the beginning. And the cool thing is there were different, like, races. So you had your elves, you had your humans, you had Canaries, you had all those guys. And depending on how you equipped yourself and how you, like, mage, what was it, mage? There was like swords. There was like the word's not spy, but there were rogues. So the rogues had like the small little knives, and they had the archery and stuff.
Yep.
And that you could do it from a distance, and then you'd have you'd be the archery rogue, and then you could have like 2 tanks and one wizard or whatever, or mage, and then that would change your play style when you attacked the enemy. And so it was like an explosion of options. And when I started playing that game, I was like, I genuinely felt like my brain was just like on fire. I was like, this is incredible. And I played it. I played that game. I played the DLCs. I played it all the way to the end. And
oh, man.
I still go back and replay certain parts of it, or I pick it back up again. And I love how it plays. I love the characters. They're so unique. They're so different. They're not similar enough that you're like, oh, I can just put that to that. And you become connected to the characters.
You do.
Like you do care about Liliana, and you do care about the other characters, and like the scout. She's the one who always goes in front of you and scouts the area. But you start to really look forward to meeting her when you start in a new theater. Like you go into a new area, and it's like, oh my gosh, I want to hear what Scout's got to say. Like I want to have that verbal back and forth, and so like there's just so many layers to the game. And again, it comes from a history of Dragon Age 1, Dragon Age Origins, like all those Dragon Age 2. Like those were great games, but Dragon Age Inquisition took that whole methodology and just amped it up on steroids. And it is an incredible game. It's been out for like many years. It was Game of the Year. I don't know. I can't even tell you how much fun I have with that game. It's like there haven't been a lot of games that I've played like that recently. The only one that I can compare it to is Ghost Recon Breakpoint, because in Ghost Recon Breakpoint you have a team. You have 3 other people, and you can spec them out, and you can order them around. But there's less like of the camaraderie and the conversation and the dialogue. It's still a fun game. I'm still playing it. Like I played it last night because it allows me to cheat. Like it sets it up so if you're like, man, I want like high health, I want low injury, whatever. It still makes it a challenge at times, but it makes it so a guy like me who's not competitive, it makes it easy to play a little bit.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's Dragon Age Inquisition, and the music and the voice acting and just the entire package, the art style. It is an incredible game. If you've never played Dragon Age Inquisition, sorry, not Inquisitions, it's Inquisition. It is a fun one, and it's definitely a good primer for when they eventually get the next Dragon Age game out, which is in development. I don't know how long it's going to take BioWare to get that thing off the ground, but I'm excited. I'm hopeful. My fingers are crossed. Based on the latest videos I've seen on the subject, that it's not going to be like a loot box or a live gamer service.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was a lot of pushback when that got announced.
Oh, my goodness.
People were really upset, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
Because that was what Anthem did. Anthem was the live gaming service and all that stuff, and people hated it. And Dragon Age has never been that way. And so they from what I understand, they've retreated to offering the single-player story-driven campaign that makes Dragon Age that good and makes it the legendary product that it is. So yeah, that game is like it's a marker in my gaming life. I mean, Skyrim before it, but Skyrim is just the unquestionable granddaddy of them all. Like that's where it all started for a lot of people.
It's an excellent game,
and it definitely upped its game from Morrowind before. And so Skyrim is kind of just accepted as the great conqueror of the series. But for me personally, Dragon Age Inquisition is just like, I can remember like story decisions that I made, and then having to go, oh man, that was a bad one, I need to go back. Because you cared so much about what happens to the characters that a story decision you made then later on impacted that character's survival or that whatever, and you're like, no, I don't want him to die, I want him to live. And so I would go back and replay the last 15 minutes to get myself back where I needed to be able to save that character and make the right decision. So that's a power. We've talked about this before. That's the power of a good game.
It is,
when the storyline like punches you in the nose and says, do you really want to do that? And you're like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to go back. And that's when you the replayability and the differences in how that game is played. I could talk for hours. Unfortunately, we don't have hours about Dragon Age Inquisition. It's a fun little game.
Yeah.
It's the bomb.com. So now that I've talked about my game that changed my life, let's talk to you about yours. Splinter Cell.
Splinter Cell. What can I say about that game?
Everything.
A lot. So this game I discovered, I'm pretty sure it was on PlayStation 2. I think, if I remember right, that's where I found it.
Okay.
I believe it was either Xbox or PlayStation 2.
Okay.
But I can't remember which. And I remember sitting in front of the TV, and I got so freaking mad at this thing. I threw the controller and walked away.
You rage quit, basically.
I did. I said, you stupid game. What is wrong with these people? These darn developers, man. Why they got to make it so hard? It's because of the puzzles and how hard some of them were. But the part that I noticed the most about it was the way the gameplay was, the way you moved through the game, and the way you'd have to get down and
crouch and all
sneak
that
and
take cover.
Yeah, and sneak around.
Okay.
It just, for me, that it I don't know, it created something in me that allows me to play the games I do now.
Yeah.
That's where it changed, was when I played Splinter Cell, the original.
Right. And it was originally it's in the Tom Clancy pantheon of games through Ubisoft. I'm looking at the Wikipedia article now, and I recognize the cover. I don't know if I ever played Splinter Cell. This game came out in 2002.
Yeah, that's it.
Which is what is that? How many years ago? Is that 18 years?
Oh,
no, 19 years.
Long darn
19,
time.
20, 21. No, it's 20 years.
It's 20 years.
Oh, that game is almost 20. It's 19 and a half years old. It'll be 20 years old in November.
Holy moly.
But I think that's the power of old games. We've talked about this repeatedly on this podcast. Old games are just as good as the good, and sometimes better than the modern games. Like, if you want to talk about a game, for me, that is like the two games that are based in the Tom Clancy world that are definitely different. So there's Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
Yep.
And then there's Tom Clancy's okay. I lost track of my thought process. Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and then there's Ghost Recon what is the one that's set in Bolivia or whatever it is?
Oh, I don't know that I've played that one yet.
See, and I've talked about this on the podcast. My memory is apparently going. I'm losing my mind. Tom Clancy. This is what happens on the podcast. Tom Clancy Ghost Recon Wildlands. Okay.
Oh, Wildlands.
So Breakpoint is my favorite. Yeah. Like, I love that game because it allows you to be sneaky and you can do sniper shots, and it's really like the world is very immersive. And it didn't launch great, but that's a story of a lot of what we're going to be talking about today. But I played that game last night. I love it because it's so much fun. You can just wander around the jungles, and you can snipe from a distance, and you can be all secretive, or you can charge in guns a-blazing and take down the bad guys.
Yeah, that's me.
Wildlands is irritating, and I hate it so much. It is so hard. It is a hard game. It is not forgiving, and it is not. It's fun to a point, like, because it's the same symbol. You've got 3 other teammates, and they help support you and back you up, but it plays so different. And it just, like, you can't, like, if I ever could do a dissertation on that, I would compare and contrast those two games and say, this is how this game does it really well, this is how this game does it terribly. And so and both games have come out in the last couple of years. But yeah, and the Ghost Recon series is constantly under, they got their own issues. There's
yeah, it's not good sometimes.
No, it's not. And that's Ubisoft. Ubisoft is a company that is definitely having to kind of be challenged on a lot of what they're doing.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So we've talked about that. So Splinter Cell is actually a game I'm probably going to check out is it on Steam, do we think?
Oh, I don't know. I think it is on.
Well, it's a 20-year-old game. It may not be around anymore.
Let's see.
Or maybe, I don't know how it'll be available. I'm trying to pull up my Steam account real quick, but it's not going to work as fast. There it goes, connecting account.
Windows Phone.
It's on the Windows. Did you say Windows Phone platform? You can play Splinter Cell on. I don't think Windows Phones exist anymore.
They don't.
They're gone, aren't they?
They're gone. Yeah.
Okay.
Says Microsoft Windows, so yeah.
Let's pour one out for Windows Phones.
That's gonna suck.
Oh my gosh, think about that. I remember. I remember Windows Phones.
Oh Lord, those things were so crappy.
Oh, they were terrible, and it was like
bad.
Poor Microsoft. They don't do phones well. They do operating systems okay.
They do,
and they do like Office really well. Like they have certain things they do great. Yeah. So Splinter Cell is actually available on Steam for $10. Oh, but there's the Splinter Cell Elite Echelon edition.
Oh my goodness.
Which includes all the DLCs and everything else in between.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
So maybe I'll check that out because it's I love the early Tom Clancy stuff.
Yeah. Very good.
I love The Division and The Division 2. Like those are some of my favorite games. The Division 2 is a hard one, but I like playing it because it doesn't really make it hard for me. It makes it challenging, which I enjoy. All right, so Splinter Cell is on Steam.
That's the one I played.
Yeah, okay. 2003 is when this was released on.
Holy moly.
That's 20 years, almost 20 years.
Man.
And if you're listening and you're like, man, I don't know about these old games, go to GOG, check out some of those old games, check out some classics because there's power in that, and there's great stories, and there's those games still have heart. Those games still have a lot to be played with.
Yep, they're good.
They are absolutely
good.
Okay. So now that we've talked that situation to death, and beat the dead horse enough so that you probably are out there going, okay, next topic, please. Let's talk about two games that we both chose. You chose because you just went on Steam and just picked it and just decided to play it.
Game Pass.
Yeah. Game Pass. Okay,
Pass,
sorry.
yep.
Game Pass. And then mine is a classic from my childhood and middle school years. I'm going to let you start with No Man's Sky because I have stuff to talk about that. I just spoiled what we're going to talk about. So No Man's Sky.
Holy moly.
So this is your first time ever playing was yesterday.
Today.
Okay.
This morning. I released the video this evening.
Yeah, he put it on your YouTube channel on Guerrero Loco. How you spell that?
GUEROLOCO.
LCO. And he does his gaming and games and plays and live streams and all that stuff there.
Yep.
So,
oh my goodness.
For the audience out there who's probably like, man, okay, No Man's Sky, you're like late to the party. Well, so here's the thing about No Man's Sky. I think it was one of the games I might have pre-ordered.
Oh.
I may have pre-ordered it. I am trying to remember when I purchased it. But No Man's Sky is a game that is, if you can believe it, 4.5 years old.
Man.
It came out on August 9th, 2016.
It don't look like it.
Well, when it came, so the backstory is when No Man's Sky was announced and then released, it was basically like this is going to be like you're going to be able to travel everywhere and do everything and do all the things. It'll be multiplayer and it'll be the world is all these things. And they made all these promises, kind of like Cyberpunk 2077 recently.
Yep.
And the promises did not get delivered.
No.
And the graphical quality, if you can go on YouTube and you can compare No Man's Sky like 2016 versus No Man's Sky 2022 or 2021, and the differences in rendering, in quality is stark. It is significant.
Oh my goodness!
The game you played this morning is not the game we got when it came out.
Oh man, it was excellent.
But so we'll talk about how excellent it is, and then I'll kind of talk about what wasn't in the game when we originally got it, and what it's been like. So you're fresh in, you haven't had any exposure to this game. First thing this morning, you kick it on. Walk us through what that's like.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so the opening screen is sort of like you're rushing through these galaxies and. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what in the world am I playing?
Right.
And then I go to this foreign world, and they drop you there. Mm-hmm. You don't know why you're there.
Yep.
You're just there.
Yep.
The part that I love the most, absolutely love the most, is I just get to go out and do stuff.
Yeah.
I figure it out.
Yeah.
And I think, and the graphical quality on my RTX 3060, man, holy crap-a-moly, it was awesome. It is phenomenally beautiful. Mm-hmm. I've got a whole list of things. The game mechanics are completely different. Now, sometimes the camera angles are a little wonky.
Yeah, they are.
They're a little weird sometimes. But I think overall, after looking at this game, its immediate thing that I noticed was how different it was.
Yeah.
Like the way that you have all of these, like you'll look at like a rock.
Yeah.
And it'll tell you it's ferrite, but you don't know what it's called until you get your little visor thing
and you scan it.
Yeah. That is just incredibly good, man.
Right.
I don't know why. Why can't developers, come on. Why can't y'all make a game like that?
Dear developers.
Yeah.
An open letter from Chris Sherrill.
Yeah.
I think you're right because that is a part of that. Mm-hmm. And like it does like because I play it, so there's different game modes. You can play it on survival, which means you do have to like pay attention to the storms and the temperatures on the planets, and you have to manually refuel your ship.
Yep.
There's a lot of maintenance that you have to do, and I haven't played that in a while, but I like it because it does make you work for it. You do have to like get the carbon, and you have to go and find these resources.
Yeah.
And so on the planet you get stranded on, you have to go and find the different resources so you can repair your ship because your ship is damaged, and you got to figure that out, and then you got to search for something.
Yep.
But the game doesn't hold your hand.
No.
It says, okay, you have to do this. Here's how you use a scanner, and now go do things with it.
Yeah.
And so every planet you land on, every solar system you end up in, you have to be scanning, you have to be checking stuff out, you have to go down to the planet, and the planet is a real planet-sized planet. Like it's procedurally generated so that this planet is legit. Like you could walk from one end of the planet to the other, and you're walking that distance.
Yep.
But it asks you to explore. And it pays you for that. Like, it gives you rewards for discovering new species and discovering new things and scanning those rocks and scanning the flora. Because sometimes that then helps you go, oh, I can take this, put it in my inventory, and use that to refuel my ship. Or I can use it for food, or I can use it for base construction eventually. It is a game now that is brilliant. I will say that without question.
Yeah.
After 4.5 years, the developers and everything they've done has been for free. They haven't added DLC. They haven't charged for new content. Everything you see in the game right now that was not in the game in the beginning is not a DLC. Now, what a lot of games will do is that's the racket. Like they'll be like, "Here's the game," and you're like, "Okay, well, it's kind of terrible. I mean, it's terrible. It's serviceable, but it's got." And then they'll be like, "Okay, well, we're gonna release a DLC, and the DLC adds these new features and these and." The reality is those features fix the bugs. Yeah. But you have to buy the DLC to get advantage of that.
Why didn't he fix that at the beginning?
That's a moderate rabbit trail for the moment is DLCs have become a money-making venture to the point of, okay, well, you want your game to work, you want to experience the game like it should be, DLCs. The biggest offenders on this are the sim games, like simulator games, and like the train sim simulator. There's a train sim simulator on Steam. It's like Train Sim 2022 or 20 whatever, and the base game is like $40.
Oh my goodness!
And then the DLCs, if you go through it, is like $190. All the different trains you can get and the different routes you can get. There's a sim. I bought this sim. I didn't buy the expansion because I read the reviews and I was like, this is just a money grab. But there's a bus simulator on Steam.
Yep.
And you buy it, but to add the additional game world, you have to buy a DLC for $20.
Why do they do this?
Because it's money. That's how they can make that extra $20. So you multiply that by, hey, if you've got 1,000 game people who are playing your game, and you say, hey, here's a world expansion DLC. Here's how you can expand the world and play more. $20. Do you take $20 times 1,000? Well, that's what, $20,000. You made your money, and now you've got money in your coffers, and you're in the positive. You're in the black. You're doing all right. And so the DLCs become just this in a lot of games. This joke. It was with Crusader Kings 2 was a big deal with that because you got the base game, but you had like 15 DLCs, and it was not cheap. This is also the complaint that gets leveled at The Sims 4. Because The Sims 4, the base game, we can buy it, but then you have all the expansions, then you have all the content packs, then you have all the other thing. So you end up having like this list of 20 expansions, game packs, and it's like that. I mean, if you do it like every time they release it, like every 6 months, it's not that big of a $30 for an expansion, whatever, okay. But then when you step back and you go, okay, so I paid $40, well, probably $50 for the original game, and then I had 4 content packs that were $30 each. So I've spent $120 there. Then we've got the extra packs, the expansion packs, or the story packs, or whatever. Then you got 15, 10, like it adds up. So when you're like, if you're approaching The Sims 4 right now, and you buy the base game, you're going to look at it and go, okay, cool, but if I want to have weather, if I want to have generations, it's going to cost me a big amount of money. And like a starting gamer, you don't have $120 to throw down and play that game. And so the DLC issue, again, we'll get back off this rabbit trail and get back into get back into No Man's Sky. But it is a problem, I think, in the gaming industry right now, and I think it's getting worse because I'm seeing a lot of games that are doing this DLC dance, and it's like, guys, this is not like the gamers have a choice. Like we can choose to not, and the thing is that I know that it's driven because people do buy the DLCs, but eventually gamers are going to get tired of it. They're going to run out of money. Like mommy and dad are going to get tired of having to pay for these Steam gift cards to pay for your stupid DLC habit. And it is a habit. Like games have been built on this DLC thing. So it just, I don't know. There's a lot to be said for all of that. And I don't know. I have a lot of feelings
Oh, I do too.
City Skylines is the same thing. City Skylines is a great game, but you look at all the DLC. So if we look, the DLC, the currently the City Skylines collection now they're offering some money off on it. But if you want to get like a whole bunch of the DLCs on top of the normal purchase price of $30, the total purchase price for the DLC bucket or collection with City Skylines is $68.99. That's for all the DLCs, all the additions, all the little whatevers. So you could buy the game for $30. Okay, cool. But if you want to get, the game with all of the like stuff, it's going to cost you $68. Which again, somebody might be able to plunk that down, but it's I don't know. There's a lot of issues with DLCs, and I have given up on Sims 4. Like, I have walked away from Sims 4.
Yeah.
I'm not buying it.
I've never even played it.
Don't. Sims 3 is your better play. But the thing with Sims 3 is the same story. There are at least 12 expansion packs for Sims 3. And if you buy them all, you're going to be spending some money. I did when I owned the game, and I spent that money back in the day. But it's a beautiful game. Sims 3, all-star, back-to-back, unquestioned, greatest game ever in the Sims franchise.
Cool.
Some people would say Sims 2 is, but that's beside the point. But my point is that before we jump back into No Man's Sky, DLCs are a problem. And I would encourage you out there, don't play the DLC game. If you've got a game and they're shelling out DLCs every 6 months and it's costing you $20-$30, find another game.
Yeah.
Because you are giving these guys free money, and they are not doing the game that you're playing any favors, because they release a game without the real features, and then hey, we got a new one. It's the same thing with Civ 6. Civ 6 is a pretty good game right now, but it has 2 expansion packs that you had to buy to improve the game mechanics and get it where it needed to be. And
that's crazy to me. That's insane.
It's PC gaming, and it's the last 5 years of PC gaming, and maybe even the last 10 years. So anyway, that's why Hello Games and No Man's Sky is such a fresh entry into this, because they haven't made DLCs that improve the game or expand the game universe. The game is there as a base.
Man, it's good.
So we'll turn to No Man's Sky. What again? More of like what kind of things did you get a kick out of, and like were a game changer for you? Because you were like, man, this is like the best game ever.
It's the best game I've ever played. It is.
That's high praise.
It is.
So what makes it that good? Continuing.
So let's see. So I went and got all my stuff to fix my ship.
Yep.
Because you have a little spaceship you got to fix.
Yep.
And so I got it fixed, and I hopped in this ship.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay, W. So I hit W, and nothing happened.
Right.
I'm like, why did my ship not take off? I hit W again. It still didn't take off. I held W, and that thing went and lifted up in the air. I'm like, holy moly. And then I about crashed it into the mountainside 4 or 5 times. Because the way it's really wonky. You have to move your mouse.
Your mouse controls is more of your joystick.
Oh, it was awesome, though. And then I went to a different planet.
Yeah.
So I get up into the air, and I'm staring into this star, and I'm like, I'm going to go right there.
Yeah.
And then it said, no, you're not. You're going to go over there. So I went that direction.
Okay.
I'm pointing behind me in case anybody's wondering. And so I'll never forget when it said hit space, and I hit space, and that thing thrusted. It was like...
Yeah, it goes in. It's not hyperspeed, but it's like not impulse, but I know what the word is, because it's the before warp. Like, it gets you from one planet to another, and... Again, the graphical look of that is just, it's beautiful.
It's phenomenal,
and you're like, this is a game in 2021 that we're playing.
It is. It is a great, I'm going to tell y'all, I sent a letter to the developer, and I've never done that before, ever.
First time in a long time, and ever, I guess.
It was an essay.
Yeah.
Because, when you find a game that's as good as No Man's Sky, you have to give them praise for what they've done. Right. It is an excellent, very good game. I love that game.
Well, the storyline, you're going to get to know, because I've completed I think the main storyline. It is unquestionably a very fantastic journey. because you eventually are told you got to reach out to this person and you got to communicate with them. You're getting a mysterious message. You got to track the message down, and then you start tracking it down and you reach this person, but you can't really find them. And then it gets to a point where you actually are able to find them, but then they aren't there. And there's this idea of universes, and they're in a different universe.
Crazy!
It's the way that it's done is the building blocks, and that's just one of the stories. Like you can go on a space station and get an assignment from a crew member or somebody to get recognition raised within different races, because there's about 4 to 5 different alien races that you interact with throughout this game.
That is crazy.
And you can trade your ships, and you can buy new ships and whatever. You can get a frigate fleet. You can get yourself a frigate fleet of 20 ships that you can send on missions, or that you can have as your base where you store all your ships that you buy.
Oh, that is cool.
You are in the beginning stages of what is one of the most fun experiences I think of anything I've ever played. And I won't say that, I can't go as far as to say that No Man's Sky is one of the best games I've ever played, but I will say it's one of those games that I keep coming back to because I like it. Yeah. I've played enough games where I would just be like, oh, okay, I'll just go. For example, Active Aggression. Active Aggression is the spiritual successor to Direct Action and a bunch of other CNC clones and whatever. Active Aggression is not the absolutely most effective spiritual successor to Direct Action and all these other games. But it works, and it's fun to play, and the explosions and the tanks and all the things that happen, it's like modern graphics. And it's just fun to play and blow stuff up. And I cheat a little bit because I'm not competitive, so I use a trainer, and I don't care if you judge me for that. I don't care.
Nope.
I don't. This is who I am. But I'll play it and just to just kind of distract myself and have some fun. With No Man's Sky, I do play that game to be intentional to discover. So you'll be able to eventually find a settlement to take over, and you run that settlement and you build up pieces of that settlement to help that settlement be successful and to bring you money and to improve the people's lives.
Oh my goodness.
And I genuinely look forward to getting back into that game and going back and checking on my settlement. You can also make a base where you build out your base with all the cool stuff, similar to Subnautica where you do that.
Oh, I love Subnautica.
And so that happens here, and it's you can build generators, and it's just there's so much depth to it, and there's so much to explore. They also have been doing a lot of different storylines that they've added. I have to look on Steam, but they had similar. It was kind of not a copy, but it was in honor of the Dune movie. They had Dune. Worms in game that you could explore and determine and figure out, and so that was kind of cool. So there's been a lot of things that they've thrown in there, and they've added in storylines and stuff, and so there is an entire universe to search, because it is procedurally generated. It is an infinite amount of galaxy to explore.
It's crazy.
But the storyline that you will eventually progress into, spoiler alert, not really, is you discover that everything is simulated, but not really. And so you have to decide whether to reset the universe or let it continue. And there's a machine that has been in charge of running the universe, and it's happened every time the machine resets. It resets every 1,000 or 1,000,000 years. There's a reset that happens where the universe gets
crazy.
And it is, but that's not even the beginnings of it, because it's so all the races are involved. And you end up going in search of figuring out, who's to blame, or who's involved and what's involved. And then there's this not phenomenon, the word is, but there's like a space station that you begin that shows up and says, hey, we're out of universe. We're kind of in our own little time bubble, but we're here to help in your search. And we have information. And it's almost like a Doctor Who. Like they're out of space and time. And so they're in there, and you can summon them and talk to them, and they give you missions, and then you can get technology. Like this game is now in 2022. Well, in 2021 it was, and into 2022 it is the game we should have gotten in 2014.
Oh, it's
or 2016. Sorry, 2016. But it keeps getting better. You play it for I played it today. Like after you texted me, I was like, all right, I got an hour. Let me play it. And I got bagged in. I was like, oh, I love this game. Because I've gotten to a point because I use creative mode. I've got 5 or 6 ships that I've got stored on my frigate, and I interchange, and I found the exotic ships that I haven't had a chance to. Like today, I got an exotic ship. It's so cool, and but it's that kind of game that you're
cool.
I want to go back. I want to explore. I want to go deeper into the universe. I want to go find the space stations. I want to go find the other settlements. I want to find the trades. I want to build relationships within these alien races.
Oh my goodness. I can't wait to play it again.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
It's very,
it'll suck you in.
It'll suck the time away. Yeah,
but it's like there are not many games that I will be like, I just need to play some. I just need to play a game for a little bit. I just need to have some time, and I need to enjoy myself.
Yep.
It's one of the few games. It's similar to like Breakpoint. Like Breakpoint is that game for me where I can just pick it up and I just start my missions up and I go wander around the jungles and I do the thing and I save the day, and I can do that. I can play that game because I love the environment. I love the way the game plays because I know that it's going to give me what I want. Yeah. Same thing with No Man's Sky. What else anything else you had to say about No Man's Sky? I've kind of taken over the conversation, but it's such a good game.
It is. I think that I think the reason this game is so good is because there's so many elements that make it good. The graphical side of things, and not just how clean the graphics are, but the way they apply filters to the look.
Yeah.
You know the look I'm talking about.
Yeah, so when you land on a certain planet, and the planets are varying. And the fun part about this game is there are like storms on those planets.
Yes, there are.
So you land on a planet that's a hot desert planet.
Yeah.
It's going to have flame storms. So you land, and your ship will tell you, warning, it's hot outside.
It's hotter than...
So you have an exosuit, and then you can apply upgrades to that as you go.
Yep.
So if you step out of your ship and you're not in creative mode, which I'm in, which means I'm in God mode, but if you're in the normal survival mode, you have to prepare.
You'll die.
Yeah, you will, or you will have a short amount of time for your shield to keep you on that planet.
Yeah.
And then it will warn you, and it's not scheduled. It's just like, warning, storm approaching. And those storms will kill you. So you have to either seek shelter quickly in whatever you've got around you or run back to your ship and hope you get back there in time, because then you can get in your ship and be safe.
I didn't. I survived, but barely.
Barely, yeah. Well, and that's what this game does, is it does force you to keep an eye on things, and you can't go too far from your ship, or you have to if you get to a relic and you land there and you get into it and you start working it, and all of a sudden storm approaching, you're like, okay, I gotta get back to my ship, and you gotta sit in your ship, wait for the storm to pass, which may take 5 minutes. And it'll tell you, storm is passing. Okay, cool. You get back out. But the filters is, if you're on a hot planet, it gets really bright orange. You start to see flames on your screen and start to, you feel it almost.
It's crazy.
And it's the same on like a ice planet. Whereas if you land on an ice planet and it's cold, it'll start to ice over your screen.
Ice is over,
And if the storm hits... today I was playing, and I landed on and again, I'm in creative mode, so I have God mode, so my character's not going to die. But I landed, and I was looking for a relic, and an ice snow blizzard storm hit. I could not see in front of me. Like most games, they'll pretend there's a storm, but you can still see.
Oh, yeah.
No Man's Sky doesn't even give you that. If there's a storm, you can't see nothing. And so I was just like, it was legitimate. I was like, I don't know where I am.
Oh, yeah.
I was like looking around, I was not going to die, but I was like, where's my ship? Get me back to my ship. So I literally panic ran back to my ship, jumped in, and I was like, what the heck just happened? I can't see the relic.
Oh, my
so the storm passed. Yeah. I lifted off the ground a little bit. I reoriented my ship. I was like, oh, there's the relic. It was literally 20 feet from me. Landed again, went to the relic. But it's this game it's not that it's unforgiving, but it makes you work for it. And it doesn't shy away from saying, you can't see what you need to do right now. You don't get to, you have to figure out a way through this, or you need to go and seek shelter. And it'll happen when you establish your base. If you establish your base on a planet that is on the spectrum, there's still going to be rainstorms. Even on the temperate planets, there are still rainstorms and stuff like that that'll have an effect. And you have to power your station. You'll have to seek shelter. So it's not that it's too micromanagey. It's just enough micromanagement and management that you feel like you've succeeded. You've done something. You've built something.
Oh, man.
And you continue. You eventually will hire people for your base. And they will take care of your weapons, and you'll build like cars, not cars, but exo things that you can drive around, similar to Subnautica.
Oh, yeah.
Where you can build stuff, but it's on the ground. And there's actually, you can build on ocean planets, you can build a little submarine that goes around, and it's
that'd be cool.
Oh my gosh, it's a lot of fun. I have so much fun. I can't tell you.
The game is really good.
It's weird that 4.5 years ago, this game launched and was dead on arrival. It was just what is this game? And it continued for about a year. And then they started, they openly announced, hey, okay, we disappointed you. We're working on it. And every 6 weeks or every 3 months, they would put out a new piece of content. They would upgrade. And they've been working on it for 4.5 years. And No Man's Sky now, it allows multiplayer.
Yeah.
So like me and Chris could get online tonight, and we could play multiplayer in the universe and meet up and play. And so the really cool thing is that this game is just, we both love it.
Oh, it's good, man.
Is there anything else on your list about your love of this game? Because we have. There's so much. It's such a good game.
The game is just so good. I like the way that they immerse you. The immersion value. Mm-hmm. It's $60 on Steam right now.
Yeah.
And I'm considering spending $60 to buy it. I will not spend $60 for a game.
Right, because you got it on Game Pass right now, right?
Yeah. But for this game, I would pay $60 for this game in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Without question.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
I would say the Steam, like, reading from the reviews, the most helpful reviews in the last 30 days, the number one at the top from LLYJA, who has 4.2 hours on record, which again means they may or not have played it on this platform. They put in whatever. They said best redemption arc in video game history. Mm-hmm. And I know this is probably going to sound to a lot of you like I'm beating a dead horse, but you imagine if Cyberpunk 2077, when it had launched and it was in the state it was in, it was abysmal.
It was bad. Yeah.
Imagine, because Cyberpunk was like a year ago.
Yeah, about a year ago. Yep, it was.
I'm gonna double check my math because I don't want to state something that's wrong and get called out for it on the internet, because we all know how the internet works.
Yes, we do.
It's a terrible, terrible, lovely place. Yeah, so it released. Oh my gosh, it is. You are right. 1 year ago, December 10th, 2020.
I knew it.
So imagine for a moment that Cyberpunk releases December 2020, and it is just bad. And it was.
It was bad.
It was awful.
Bad.
But imagine for a moment that instead of trying to defend against lawsuits, and which is what CD Projekt Red did.
Yeah,
and
they did.
Making excuses and not really and rolling out updates, but not really updates.
Yeah.
Imagine for a moment that they came out and they said, "Yep, it was junk. We're really sorry. We are going to make sure this game works, and we're going to do everything we can. We are going to work hard. We're going to work." Every month, we're going to put something out. We're going to make sure you know what we're doing. Yep. We are going to earn your trust back. That is what they did, and they've done it for 4.5 years.
Yeah.
There is no other, and someone out there probably can correct me if I'm wrong, because again, we don't know everything in gaming.
That's exactly right.
There's not a lot of publishers or a lot of game companies that can have that kind of redemption story.
Yeah.
In recent, because we talk about Anthem through BioWare was a terrible game. It finally got taken out to the field and released into the Rainbow Bridge because it was a bad game and it wasn't getting updated.
Yep.
You had Anthem, you had Fallout 76, which was Bethesda's piece of work, but Bethesda also had a hand in Anthem as well, because Bethesda, I think, or no, it was EA. EA was Anthem.
Oh, that explains it.
Yeah, but those, and even Fallout 76 is still not where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Nowhere near where it needs to be.
Yeah.
And so you don't have a lot of game companies that have gone out and said, you know what, we screwed up. Let's do this. Let's make this happen. You look at this game now and you go, that's incredible. You took everything that you said you would do and you've done it and more. And I don't want to say that they need I don't want to make a call to action generally on this podcast. But just reward that. That should be celebrated.
Yeah.
When a game company says we messed up, we're going to make it right. And year after year, they do everything they can within their power, within their development cycle to make that happen. But yeah, it's just the best redemption arc in video game history, I think, is right. This thing has 406 people said this review was helpful. And it's just this guy, he says, with over 1,300 hours played, I can definitely be called a fan of the game. And I certainly have done all the expeditions, finished what I really wanted to finish, and collected all the achievements.
1,300 hours.
1,300 hours. Ooh. And that's a lot.
That's a long time.
So it's another review from January 9th. The game's finally what it was meant to be. Yeah. What an adventure.
It's amazing.
It's legit, and there's not a lot of negative reviews. A lot of negative reviews on Steam, I'm just you're an idiot. You don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, just stop.
But it's One of these reviews says it can also be maybe treated as a Elite Dangerous counterpart with cartoonish graphics, but without cool flight models. I have not. I think I've played Elite Dangerous once in my life.
Yeah.
I wasn't really interested. It didn't really seem like, ooh, I should do this. With No Man's Sky, it's like, yeah, this is fun.
We doing this.
Yeah,
all day long.
Yeah, and I think I made a choice like a couple years ago or whatever, last year or so, where I was tempted to do the Elite Dangerous route, but I've really enjoyed it, and it's one of those games that you feel good about. You're like, this works. It's a good game. Okay, anything else on No Man's Sky?
Go out and buy it, y'all.
Yeah,
I will keep my eye on Hello Games.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I think the interesting part is going to be what they do next as they continue with this game, because their gaming history right now. So they have No Man's Sky. They have an upcoming release called The Last Campfire.
Ooh, that sounds
The Last
good.
Campfire is an adventure, a story of a lost ember trapped in a puzzling place, searching for meaning and a way home. So it's got a whole bunch of
interesting
rating. Like it's been given high ratings. It's coming. Oh, is it already out? Let's see here. The Last Campfire. It was an upcoming release. But no, it came out October 7th, 2021.
Oh, darn.
Let's see so there was some reviews that I was just watching the video here. So apparently, according to The Last Campfire, 9 out of 10 from God is a Geek. South by Southwest said Indie Game of the Year. Then Nintendo Dojo, 91%. IGN, 9 out of 10. Don't know how I feel about IGN's ratings. Nominated for a BAFTA for a British game.
Darn.
100% from the Xbox Hub, 9 out of 10 from the PlayStation Universe, and 90% from the Pocket Gamer. The reviews on Steam, when you see these, you know they're a good game. Both recent and all reviews, overwhelmingly positive.
Holy,
that looks incredible. It's $14.99 on Steam.
Oh, that game is cool.
It looks very stylized.
Interesting, yeah.
The art style is very. It's almost like a Zelda looking kind of thing.
It is, yeah, it really is.
I have not heard about this game. It's going on my wish list because that just looks like a lot of fun.
Man, y'all support this company because this developer's they do really good work, man.
Yeah. So they've done No Man's Sky, they did Last Campfire, and then apparently they did Joe Danger 2, the movie, back in 2013. There's 51 reviews for that game, so maybe don't support that game.
Yeah. They're newer ones.
Yeah,
the newer ones.
Yeah, he's the Joe Danger is from 2013. How long ago is that? 2013.
Oh my goodness!
Can't do the math in my head.
9 years.
9 years? Jeez. Yeah, maybe don't play a 9-year-old game. So there are 2 games currently on Steam.
Man,
they are on the come up. Frontier's update for No Man's Sky happened a little bit ago, and it was like you had worms and it looks incredible, and there's a lot of storyline to be developed in there and all that kind of stuff. We could talk about No Man's Sky for a long time.
Oh yeah, we could.
And I think the cool thing is you can also change how your character looks when you get to a space station.
Oh really?
You can change what your character looks like and what race they are, and what are their attachments, and then you can upgrade your ship, and you can get additions to your multi-tool, and you can. It's a pretty impressively deep.
It is
deep game. Okay, well I think we've done that well enough.
Yep, that's good.
Check that off the list.
Yeah, too much of that one probably.
There's never too much of No Man's Sky.
It's fun though.
It's a fantastic little game. So this is a game you were not familiar with, which surprises me. So Myst. This one, because I asked you about it once, and then I asked you again, and you were like, I have no idea what the game is. I'm like, wait, how did you escape the Myst world? So Myst came out. Well, this may be part of it. So it came out in 1993, 1994. So that was
that's a long time ago. We're old.
I needed that reminder. Thanks, Chris.
You're welcome.
So 1993, man, it came out for Mac OS. It came out for Windows 3.1, if you can believe that, in 1994. 3DO.
Oh my
March 17th, 95. The Sega Saturn, which, if you remember that game,
holy moly.
1995.
Man.
It came out on the Atari Jaguar in 1995, and came out on the PlayStation in 1996.
Oh my goodness!
So Myst is not a 3D exploring game. Mm-hmm. It's a game where it's basically slide based, and you click and you navigate. It's a click and play kind of deal.
Yeah.
And it's an adventure puzzle game. Yep. It was developed by a company it was named Scion. And I don't know if they're still around. I'm looking at them right now.
Oh yeah, I don't.
Published by Broderbund. I remember that game. And it was initially for the Macintosh in '93. So you travel via a special book to the island of Myst. And I'm going to see if I can find some music from Myst. Because this is a game I played. And it's a puzzle game, but it's a mystery game. And if you've never played Myst, if you could find it, I'm sure you can find it on GOG or somewhere.
I think it's on Steam, too.
Oh, gosh. That would be fantastic. Let me find the Myst music. Because I'll have a flashback right here and right now. Myst music.
I got a friend who loves this game.
And it's fascinating to me that you don't. I think partially because I know it. The Myst, the full soundtrack of Myst. All right, let's see if I can get this thing to do what I want.
$30.
$30 on Steam?
Yeah.
Is it the complete game?
Yeah,
What?
I think it is.
What kind of witchcraft is this?
Yeah, that's some heavy duty.
Released 2021? Is that like? I think that's an update.
Is that the new release? Like
I have no idea. I'm going to find out here in a second. As soon as I play the Myst soundtrack, as soon as I get past the okay.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to buy this game.
So yeah,
that was awesome.
It's different, and I got to figure this out. So Myst was my childhood. It's one of my first games that I think I ever really was played, and I the reason why it was is the friend group that I had in middle school. We were such nerds. We were such geeks, and we were. Yeah, this is actually this is a remaster.
Yeah,
this is a redone.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
So this is the journey. Yeah, so this is oh my gosh. Yeah, no, this is not the game we played. So the game we played is with Myst is so the book transports you to this mysterious world.
Yep.
And so you have to click through as you journey. And it's an island. So you're stuck on this island and you have to complete and investigate the mysteries. And you have to unlock certain things or figure out things to then get, I think the rocket ship is the end launching thing or something. Yep. And you get to it and then you get off the island. There were a couple of sequels, I believe, Myst 1 and I think Myst 2.
Yeah, I think there is Myst 2, yeah.
But it was the first game that I ever played. And it was so stylistically done. It was the graphics, again, they were point and click, so it wasn't like a real-time 3D journey, so you didn't have to have like a graphics card for it. But you journeyed through the island and you discovered things, and you had to use your eyes. And there was music, obviously the soundtrack is fully available on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
But you had to journey through and explore and figure out because you couldn't just shortcut your way or cheat your way through it like other games have cheats that you can type in. With Myst, it was you had to go through step by step to figure out the mystery of why you were there and what was going on and how it was happening. It was started on the Macintosh, and I want to say I can remember playing this. I want to say I remember playing this on my 486 DX 266.
Woo!
I want to say that it may have been a little later, but I remember this game, and I remember having the CD. It's gone now. There's certain games that I wish I still had the CDs for, just to put it on display and be like, I had this game on CD.
Me too.
Myst was an immense commercial success. The game makers originally were called, we'll probably sell 100,000. They sold 200,000 copies of the Macintosh version 6 months after its release in September 1993. They would have been enough to make the game the best selling in the Macintosh. So then they then sold 500,000 copies in the first year. Now we're talking
That's
the early 90s. This is not like 2021 where you got to make 1 million, 2 million copies to really crack the market. That's a lot of games. It's a lot of copies to be sold. And these are all CD copies.
Yeah.
We didn't have Steam back in the 90s.
Nope.
You had to go to a store. You had to go to a GameStop or whatever game stores we had at that time. 500,000 copies in its first year. And then it sold more than 500,000 copies in 94.
Man, live. That's insane.
And then it gets better. So even a strategy guide. So you remember this. You probably remember this. You could buy strategy guides for games because we didn't have access to the internet. That didn't happen. Yep. So these publishing companies and gaming companies sometimes would do this, but companies would put out strategy guides. Then you would buy the strategy guide. You'd sit down and you'd open it up and you'd go through the missions or the sequence and you'd follow the strategy guide. Okay, well here's how you beat this guy and here's how you do this. The strategy guides. It was written in 3 weeks, sold 300,000 copies.
Holy moly.
Yeah. It then sold 850,000 copies in 1996 and 870,000 copies in 1997.
Oh, my goodness. That's a lot.
Yeah. There was growing popularity in Europe. So in total, what is this saying? By April 1998, Myst had sold 3.82 million units.
That's incredible.
The PC this led PC Data to declare it the country's best-selling computer game for the period between January 93 and April of 1998. Myst sold more than 6.3 million units worldwide by 2000.
Goodness gracious.
Best-selling PC game through the 90s until The Sims exceeded its sales in 2002 and was the top-selling game in the U.S. for a total of 52 months between March 93 and April of 99.
52 months.
Now, here's what happened is when 99 rolls around in the 2000s, that's when you get your 3D game makers.
Yeah.
That's when you get your Dooms. That's when you get your big boys and your Sims and a lot of those games that start to unseat the graphical predecessors.
Yeah.
And so the thing for Myst was it probably couldn't have kept up with all of the graphical whatever.
Oh yeah.
But it was a deep game. People loved it. It was not just relaxing, but you had to pay attention. You had to know what was going on.
Yeah.
And I loved playing that game. I don't think I ever beat it. I may have I have a dim memory because again memory is trouble when you're this old. When you're in your late 30s, early 40s, you're like, well, I think I played this game, I think I won, I think I beat it, but I don't really remember. But yeah, it was like Metacritic has like game rankings. It's one of the best games out there. It led to a lot of Myst clones.
Oh no!
So its success baffled some. It says this on Wikipedia, who wondered how a game that was seen as little more than an interactive slideshow turned out to be a hit. But the art and the game design and the story, it drew you in. You couldn't ignore that game, and you wanted to play it because it was fun. And so I think it's interesting that they did Myst. They did Myst 2. Yeah. Let's see here. They did Myst. They did Myst 3. Myst in Exile, which was Myst 3. And then they did Myst Revelation was released in 2004. And then the last game in the franchise was Myst 5 End of Ages. I didn't play any of those games. I think I played Myst 2. Riven. Oh, Riven.
Riven?
Riven was the sequel to Myst.
Oh, I know that. I've heard of that game. Yeah,
Riven was the sequel to Myst.
I've heard of that.
So that's the prison island where there's a whole storyline. I will have to probably see if I can find these games because it's just so much fun. So yeah, Myst. So there's Riven, which was the sequel, and I think I may have played Riven. I didn't play. I knew of Myst 3, and then I didn't know about 4 or 5 because by that point I hadn't played any of it. So yeah, it's an interesting game series. I think it encapsulates a very interesting period in PC gaming.
Yeah,
because it's still the MS-DOS games, like the Apogee games that were still popular, and it wasn't quite the 3D games of the early 2000s.
Oh yeah,
where they started developing game engines and stuff like that. Yep. It's this weird and it's even at the tail end of the 90s is when Sea and Command & Conquer came out, Westwood Studios,
true,
and all that stuff. So it's this weird where there wasn't a lot of computer graphics development, and you had these really cool games, and they did what they could with the technology they had, and they stretched it a little bit, but it was different. and people loved the story. It was an interesting story, and it was a fun game to play. And so I think when we talk about the gaming of today, that look on your face.
That look on his game.
The Chris's look on his face was kind of just like, it's gaming is weird. Because when you're old enough to know the class, to remember and have played some of the greatest games of all time that we think are, and you have kids who are like 16 years old and are like, I have no idea what that is. It's like, well, you're playing COD, you're playing Call of Duty, you're playing, those are the same, COD and Call of Duty is the same thing, but Battlefield, and you're playing Fortnite, and you're playing whatever.
Oh, good Lord have mercy.
But those aren't, that's a multiplayer. That's Battle Royale. That's not. This is probably going to infuriate some people out there, but that's not actually computer gaming.
No,
like that's multiplayer. Like that's that.
That's different.
Computer game playing is the single player experience in and engaging with the material and engaging with that world and exploring that world. But here's the thing I will say, and you can probably agree or disagree. I worry that idea of the single player world is fading.
Yes, I would agree with that. Yeah. It looks like they're more and more going toward the multiplayer, which is sad.
Yeah, massive. Like they had the MMOs, the massive multiplayer onlines.
Oh yeah,
and stuff like that. And it's just like, but I don't have time for that. Like I know that the younger kids do. Like, but I don't. I have a full-time job. I can't be up like 4 hours a night going on raids or going on or playing like even like the game World of Warships. Like I love that game, but it is time consuming because you have to if you lose the battle, you got to wait till the battle's over to get your ship back, and it's fun. I would have more fun playing a World of Warships single player. Yeah, if they could figure out a way to translate that, like that would be fun. Like I'd pay $60 for that.
I would do that.
Another game series that I want to mention because we don't really set time limits, but we're nearing our hour marker here, and you may not know this, but there was a magazine called Jane's Computer Games. So the Jane's Computer Games series. Yeah, combat simulators. So this is going to date me, all right? So let's just get over this. So Jane's was combat simulations, and it was a brand of PC flight and combat flight simulators released by Electronic Arts. They were founded in 1996.
Ooh.
Now, the game simulators, they started in DOS in 1996. And Combat Simulations Advanced Tactical Fighters, ATF. And I actually remember playing this because a friend of mine had it and played it like a crazy person, and it's a lot of fun. It's by no means like a graphical whatever. What else? So there was advanced.
That looks cool.
Yeah, so there was these. If you're wondering what DOS is the operating system that primarily, not anymore. I mean, there's the command line function that you can get into in Windows 10, but DOS is, for the most part, it's kind of suborned. It's underneath Windows.
It is.
It doesn't really. It's there.
The underlying back end.
Yeah, it's there. But DOS it was the operating system. Like you only had DOS. You didn't have Windows.
No.
Windows 3.1, when that showed up on the market, DOS powered Windows 3.1.
It did.
And you had to do Windows.exe and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And you could exit out of Windows into DOS. Now, when you want to exit out of Windows, you just shut down.
Yep.
You have to actually go into Windows to go into the command line function to access the DOS commands. I can remember using DOS to create directories, to copy files.
Yeah.
I remember not many of the command functions on DOS. But yeah, so they did Advanced Tactical Fighters in 96. I remember playing that game. They did an AH-64D longbow in 1996.
I may have played this one.
Which one?
The longbow. Well, it was either this one or another one like it.
There was a longbow from Flashpoint Korea in 96.
But it wasn't in DOS that I played.
One of the games I did play was Jane's 688i Hunter Killer.
Oh, that one.
It's a submarine simulator game.
Yep.
They did that in 97. That's a Windows version game. And then Longbow 2 in 97. World War II Fighters, never played that one in 98. F-15, which I think I may have wanted to buy at one point but never did, in 98. And then Israeli Air Force in 98. Fleet Command, which I think I looked at but I never purchased, in 99. And then United States Air Force in 1999, and then FA-18 in 2000. So Jane's, the company, I think, has I don't know if they're still around. I think they've probably faded away since they haven't done anything since 2000. So in late 2000, Electronic Arts dropped Jane's combat simulations, leading them to be licensed by different companies. So they're still out there. I just don't know. Wikipedia is very scant on details with these folks.
Yeah.
Then there's Jane's Attack Squadron, and then Jane's. So what Jane's was is that they were the combat simulator like experts.
Yeah.
Like the manuals that came with these games were thick.
Yeah.
They were intense because they were actual replications of the jet fighter systems or whatever else that they were simulating. And so you had to actually read into it and go, oh, this is how I operate a jet. This is how I put it was very detailed. Like you look at games today and you go, oh, Battlefield 2077, I just jump in a jet and I go. No, in Jane's, you had to do it like in Flight Simulator. You had to turn on a fuel switch. You had to do this. You had to do that. You had to do this. Like Jane's was the expert. And it's interesting to kind of see them kind of, they faded away, and Electronic Arts has kind of gotten rid of them in 2000.
Yeah,
but I can remember playing ATF in DOS and loving it. I'll have to look up some videos of that in a little bit. But yeah, Jane's was a part of my childhood, a part of my middle school life, because I had friends who were computer gamers, and they were experts. My friends in middle school, man, they knew computer games. Yeah. And I was a tag along. I was just learning through them, and I got introduced to so much cool stuff from those friends. But that's what founded a lot of what my computer gaming today is.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jane's is fun. I'm very interested in this Myst series. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I may even buy it.
Check, and that might be something we can talk about. We can we can pick up the first game and just kind of talk about it as we play it and kind of give it a review. Because again, the games from 20, 30 years ago, they're still good. They're still awesome, and they're still lovely. Yeah. So anyway, all right. Well, trying to think if there's anything I'm not playing any new games. Like, let's do this. I'll go through my wish list on Steam and see if there's anything worth mentioning at this point. Okay, so this game, Skull and Bones, is coming soon. Whether or not it's actually coming, but it's a pirate game. And there have been so many pirate games.
Oh my goodness.
Assassin's Creed had their pirate game, Black Flag, and it was kind of like, it was part pirate game, but it was also part Assassin's Creed. But there hasn't been a really successful pirate modern 3D game. And so Skull and Bones is that, and it's still coming soon. There's no release date, so that I'm looking forward to. If you're a world sim person, Victoria 3 is coming from Paradox.
Victoria 3.
It's basically like it's like Crusader Kings 3, but set in the Victorian age, and it's massive. And they've been calling for a Victoria 3 sequel for years, and they haven't. So that's that one I'm looking forward to when it gets released. It's still to be announced. Trying to see what else is. Oh, so Knights of Honor 2 Sovereign. That's like a Knights game, and there's no. It's not coming. It's coming soon. There's no release date officially for it. You know what game I've heard a lot about, and I'm tempted to pick up? Valheim.
Yeah,
I've
heard of that
on the overall reviews. It is overwhelmingly positive.
Darn.
And it's only $20.
Well, it's not that bad.
That's
really
$20. It's really respectable. I'm contemplating, because it released on February 2021. What else is on my wish list here that's going to be coming out? That actually released December 10th. Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, but the reviews aren't as great as they could be. What else is coming? That's the thing, is there's not a lot. Ooh, Elden Ring. Okay.
Elden Ring.
That game is interesting. It's from the Dark Souls franchise,
yeah,
which partially has me worried, because Dark Souls is legitimately some of the hardest gameplay in the world. But Elden Ring, I've seen some videos on it. It's coming February 24th. There's a very good chance I'm going to pick that up when it comes out, because it looks like it's open world. One of the tags that it's listed under is difficult.
Difficult? That's a tag.
And one of the tags is Souls-like, because Dark Souls is a brutal game series, and they make the player fight for it. So I'm interested to try that, to see what that looks like. So Elden Ring's on my list for 2021. I'm trying to think. Oh, okay. This is fun. So there's a game called Medic Pacific War, and it's coming out in 2022. And the demo that somebody played on YouTube that I watched was kind of okay. There's games that that they've probably purchased some assets from some game companies to kind of make the game work. Like they're not in-house built. Like they've purchased assets to complement whatever's around. But the idea behind the Medic Pacific War is you're a medic in the Pacific War, and you have to, like, as the attacks are happening, you got to get to people and get into the hospital and work on them in the moment.
That's kind of cool.
And the video I saw was like, they were like, this actually could look really good. So Medic Pacific War is also on my list.
Cool.
There's this one has been sitting in my list for a while. Ninja Simulator. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, that depends.
Yeah, it really does. There's a game called The Day Before. It's coming out on June 21st this year. And it's like a post-apocalyptic. It almost feels, the graphics look like it's set in the Division 2 graphical engine.
Oh, interesting.
Or like something like that. But there's concerns that what we're going to get is not what we're being promised. So there's been some conversations on YouTube about, is The Day Before really going to be that good, or is it kind of like false advertising?
Like a lot of them are.
Yeah, and that's the thing you got to be very careful about.
It's true.
I'm trying to think what else. So there was a game that came out in August, Carrier Command 2. And we'll actually have to explore this at some point down the road. It's $50. It's not a cheap game, but you can play it multiplayer. And it's the game designers are legit in it for the win it. They're trying to make a really cool game. So that's a game I'm going to look at in 2021 possibly. Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl, is coming out in April of 2022.
Yes,
That's
a good game.
I've never played the Stalker series. I think I may have to get into that. Company of Heroes 3 is coming as well this year, so that's a possibility. That could be very exciting. This one is interesting because it's a vampire game, but Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2.
What a title!
Yeah, and so the original Vampire the Masquerade came out like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I haven't played it, and it's on Steam. I was tempted to pick it up, but the new one looks interesting and like graphically looks modern and everything. So I'm curious to see how that goes. What else is coming out? I'm looking through my list. There's a game called Broken Arrow, and it's just hit my information. It's basically an RTS. And it looks so. There's a lot like War Dragon, the War Dragon series. They have a particular kind of graphical look and a way to play the game. And I'm worried that Broken Arrow is going to be a lot like that.
Oh yeah.
Because the RTS series sometimes feels like there's no base building. It's just you just order the units and they show up and then you do the thing.
Yeah.
I like to base build. I like to have something to build onto. So we'll see if that actually rocks and rolls. Warno is another one that came into my world. It comes out on January 20th. Forspoken is something that is interesting. It released on May 24th. It releases on May 24th, I think, is what it said. I'm looking at this right now. I think I added it.
I've never heard of that one.
It was a new. It's from Square Enix. So I don't know.
Final Fantasy makers.
Possibly, yeah. So it follows the journey of Frey, a young New Yorker transported to the beautiful and cruel land of Athea. In search of a way home, Freya must use her newfound magical abilities to traverse sprawling landscapes and battle monstrous creatures. So exploration, RPG, parkour, female protagonist, which is always awesome. So I've got that on my wish list to see if that... Those are the kind of games, again, there's single-player stuff. Yeah. Of course, you have to watch out for Starfield in November of 2022. Yeah. I'm worried and I'm concerned, and I'm hopeful Bethesda can pull this together because God help them if they fail. If Starfield falls apart, I'm worried for Bethesda as a company because that will be like their second to third like massive misstep. Yeah. So they have to hit that one out of the park. If Starfield fails, Bethesda loses all faith from the gaming community.
For me.
Because they've also got Skyrim, the sequel to Skyrim coming out. The Elder Scrolls, what is it, 6 now? 7?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
So they got that on the burner.
It's crazy.
So they got to knock out Starfield and then get back to Skyrim.
Yep.
And then there's a game called Modern Naval Warfare that's coming out sometime in 2022. It's similar to, it's a lot like people are trying to find a place to replace the Janes, replace the strong ones. So that one's also on the list. Mm-hmm. So my wish list, and it changes. Like I've gotten rid of some stuff on here, and I've got some stuff that's still sitting on here that I might get rid of. But yeah, Steam is my resource. Steam is the only one that I'll use because it just works so well. But yeah, those are some upcoming games, and next week I will do a deep dive into some upcoming games for next week, and we'll see what we can come up with to kind of predict what's coming.
Yep.
Because they're as bad as we kind of malign the game industry and say it's kind of terrible right now.
Yeah.
There's still some golden opportunities in there.
Yeah.
And there are some indie companies doing great work.
Oh, yeah.
There are some real solid independent gigs out there who are making a name and are making some really great games. And we'll see if that continues to be successful. Well, we've hit an hour and 12 minutes.
All right. That was fun.
I think I think we can clock out and head out into the Sunday afternoon air. We will continue to do our podcasts going live on Monday mornings, so I'll edit this later tonight, and you will be hearing it fresh in the new year of 2021. Sorry, 2022.
Whatever year this is.
We're getting in the DeLorean. We're going back in time. That's what we're doing. If you have any suggestions about games or gaming culture or gaming stuff that you think you want to hear our perspective on, or you're like, hey, have you heard about this? Do you know about this? What's going on with this? Throw me an email, adelayedteacher@gmail.com. Feel free to let us know. If you're watching this on YouTube, just hit the comment function and comment it up. I'm always interested in looking into stuff because, again, myself and Chris, we're old school. Like, we've been doing this for a while, and we may not be up and up on the hip to the cool stuff these days, and we'd be happy to take that on and figure that out. And if you want to challenge us to play a game that you think would be hilarious to like hear about our experiences or even watch us play live, we're happy to take those offers and think about how we can make that happen for you.
Yes, we are.
Because if nothing else, we're good at making fun of ourselves.
That's a fact.
Yeah, we do that on the regular.
Yeah, we do.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. And hopefully you've gotten some out of this game series. If you've heard a game that you're interested in, just go Google it. Check it out on Steam. Go to Good Old Games, GOG. And just do some research into it, because if you really want to find out what the gaming world was like in the infancy, in the beginning stages of greatness, the early 90s into the late 90s, that 10-year period from 90 to 99 it's the old vestiges of the late 80s gaming, and then the reinvention and reimagining and rebirth, and then the 3Ds that came into the 2000s. It makes for a great study and a great digging in, because we couldn't have the 3D gaming that we have today with, all the game engines, without what came before
the beginning
and how that all started. And that's an important thing to remember, that we didn't get here on our own. We had a lot of people developing incredible content, incredible games, incredible stories, and incredible things for us to discover and explore as we continue in the gaming adventure into 2022. My name is Aaron.
And my name is Chris.
And this has been The County Gamers. We'll see you on the next one. You've been listening to the County Gamers Podcast, presented by Create at Morgan Productions, located in Fort Morgan, Colorado, USA. For more information on our production house, other podcasts that are hosted here, and further details, please visit www.createatmorgan.org. You can find us on Twitter at the handle CreateAtMorgan. Create at Morgan is a school club at Lincoln High School, our alternative education campus here in Morgan County. Our sponsor is Aaron DeLay, the language arts teacher at Lincoln. Send any feedback to adelayedteacher@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to our podcast.